Hi, this is Arundhati from Aham Yoga. I'm here for a weekly Ask Me Anything segment. So I'm just going to give everybody 30 seconds to tune in. I'm hoping, I can't really see what's going on here, so I'm hoping this is broadcasting live. I hope you're enjoying Thursday. It seems like it's a little dark today. So this segment will hopefully happen every week. It's going to be in the afternoons for about 10-15 minutes only. It's largely to help answer any questions that you have specifically about yoga practice, about living mindfully, healthy living, for yoga teachers who tune in, anything about teaching yoga. Maybe you want to study yoga, you want some advice, or just a community, okay? So this is what it's all about. I did ask for questions yesterday on Instagram and Facebook. If you still haven't put in your questions and you do have some, they could be about anything, okay? They could even be about, say, the business of yoga. So then in that case, just drop them in the comment section below. I have compiled about 6-7 questions that I got. I did not take more than that because I don't have time to do this in 10-15 minutes. But again, you can always drop them live. If there is extra time, we'll always get to it. If not, we can answer them next week. I'm hoping to do this often enough so we can help people do a little more yoga and more importantly support any yoga teachers, people who want to study yoga out there a little more. Okay, so if you don't know who I am, my name is Arundhati. I have been teaching for 14 years now. It's been a while. I have stopped counting once I reached teaching 10 years. Okay, so I do run my own yoga studio up here in Redmond. I also blog and run a YouTube channel, and apart from that I also am a Bollywood choreographer and dancer and run another Bollywood dance studio. Okay, but let's not really talk about me. I want to answer your questions right away. So our first question is, and actually I really like this question. This one is from Amita. She wants to know, how do you know if you are overdoing a yoga pose or a stretch while you're in it, rather than once the pose is over? Okay, everyone says listen to your body, but what does that exactly mean? I think this is such a good question. Okay, and there is a lot to that we can unpack. I can in fact spend this whole 15-minute live just answering this one question, but I'm going to try and be really brief. Okay, and I think Amita is online. Yeah, so she's watching, so this will answer your question. The first thing, I'm going to answer this in two parts. One, I'm going to answer this as the yoga teacher, and two, I'm going to answer this as a student. Okay, so firstly, you should always warm up well, especially if your poses are more intricate, more advanced. Let me give you a very easy example. If you are working towards what we call Hanumanasana or a forward split pose, then you can't just go into it. Okay, you have to warm yourself up. So the first thing is to not overdo a pose, is to warm up. Okay, and really warm up well. There should always be alignment called out in some of these poses that require, in all poses, but more so the poses that are intricate, okay, that are more advanced. So we should absolutely have alignment called out. And this falls on the teacher, partly mostly on the teacher. The teacher should tell you, do this, don't do this, stop here, do a little more here. Okay, so alignment should be called out because the student really doesn't know, at least initially, doesn't know what is too much. So make sure that you hear alignment being called out. If you are ever in a situation where you're doing an advanced pose and you are not told structurally how to do one thing after the other, then you probably need to find a different yoga teacher or a different class. Okay. In an advanced pose, the yoga teacher should always tell you where to stop. Okay, in an advanced pose, the yoga teacher should always tell you, this is phase 1, Do phase 1 a few times. Once you are comfortable and stable in phase 1, then go to do phase 1 and then add the next part in phase 2, and then do that a few times, and then when you're comfortable in phase 1 and 2, then do the next part. So essentially you don't just do the whole thing at the same time, you do a little by little, and that way you are always stable, you're always safe, and you're never overdoing it. Oftentimes the teacher doesn't know or is impatient, and the student doesn't know and can want to do too much too soon, right? So you always need to have that structure. And if this is making sense, let me know, Amita, or if you have further questions, just add them in the comments below, and I'll see if I can get to that right away. Okay, I also think a good teacher should be able to tell you to stop and to not do that pose, or to tell you, hey, hold on, you're not ready to do that pose yet. You need to give me another 2 months to prepare you for that pose. For example, we have students in the studio who always like to do Shirshasana or headstand. And while they think they can do it, doesn't mean that they should do it. Okay, they need to be in yoga class for a certain duration to be able to build up to it. Okay, so as a teacher at that point, I think it's totally fine to say, hey, you are not ready, so step out of the pose. Okay, so that's pretty much the teacher side of this question. Okay, on a side note, people who are hypermobile, people who are more flexible, tend to be more at a risk of injury. People who are a little more stiffer or lack flexibility, for lack of a better word, they are actually safer in practice. Okay, so yeah, so now that's for the teacher. Okay, warming up well, always making sure you build structurally, making sure you pull students out, making sure you give them the freedom to not do the pose if they don't want to. Okay, and give them an alternate pose. So that all is on the teacher side. Okay, whereas for the student, okay, you have to know this. It is your body, and if you feel unsafe, it is completely okay to step out of the pose. There is no need to do a pose. There is no need to feel forced, coerced, rushed, or intimidated into doing a pose. Okay, so if you know, we all have our sixth sense. We all know when it's a little too much or when it's not okay. Use that. All right, if you feel like it is too much, you want to vocalize it. Okay, and feel free to always come out of a pose. There is no hard and fast rule that you have to stay in this. Teachers who and depending on the style of yoga, depending on the school that you're going to, some traditionalists, some teachers do not let you come out of poses, and in fact it is almost not okay. I've been in those classes where it's not okay to come out of a yoga pose, and you stay there and you're practically dying in that yoga pose, but because you are so scared of the teacher, you don't come out. That's not the class you should be in. Okay, so yeah, know that you have to step out of your comfort zone to make some progress in your yoga practice, but you should never be forced into doing a pose, especially some of the more advanced poses. Okay, some good physical, the last thing I'll say for this question, some good physical what can I call them, indicators, okay, in your body if the pose is too much, could be things like lower back pinching. If your lower back gets triggered in any pose, then there's something going wrong. We have to come out of the pose, we got to reset. The second thing is, if you feel any strain on your joints, say your wrists, your elbows, your knees, that's a good indication also that you're probably doing a little too much. Then there are things like extreme fatigue, exhaustion, palpitations. Those are all physical indicators of it becoming too much. Okay, so coming back, I'm just going to repeat your question once more and make sure I've answered all of it. How do you know if you are overdoing a pose or a stretch? And everyone says listen to your body. What exactly is that? Okay, so I hope that helped. And if you still have questions, I will, and there is always a delay between you guys sending questions here or commenting and me seeing them on the screen. So feel free to, if I miss any questions here, I will answer them either offline or I'll answer them in next week's live. Okay. So Amita, I hope that helped. I see your comment. This answers my question. Thank you so much. I like the way you explained it, the teacher and student perspective. Okay. One thing I will tell you, sometimes as a teacher, I do meet students on both sides of the spectrum. Students who are very eager to progress, and then also students who are scared to progress. Okay. So it's about learning how to instill confidence in your student and build them up systematically. Okay. I've also met students who think they can do more than they should be doing, and the students who think they know more about yoga than say the instructor in the room, and it's those students who could potentially get more injured, and at that time the instructor should be able to step in and say, hey, back off, you're not ready yet, be a little more regular, we'll build till you get to this pose. Okay. So hoping that question got answered. Moving on, next question, and I like this one too. This came to me on Instagram, so I'm sorry I don't have the name of this person, but I'm hoping you're watching. Is postnatal yoga important? Okay. Postnatal yoga, for people who don't know, is postpartum yoga. Okay. The prenatal yoga is when the baby is not born yet. Postpartum yoga is when the baby is born, and postpartum yoga is for the mother. Personally, if you ask me, I think postpartum yoga is more important than prenatal yoga. I mean, both are equally important. But if I had to choose, and this is something I tell my yoga teacher trainees at Aham Yoga all the time, postpartum or postnatal yoga is more important for women to do, because the body goes through such a big transformation. And I know it can be extremely overwhelming to be a new mom, and there is so much to do. I understand that. I respect all of that. Okay. But my professional opinion is, it is the practice of yoga after you give birth will do a few important things that will help you be a better mom, will help you restore yourself so you can continue to give and care and nurture for your newborn baby. Okay. Firstly, postpartum yoga should start 2 months after a vaginal birth, or 3 months after a C-section. Okay. And for those who want to do postpartum yoga, don't try to do too much. Just try to make class once a week. Okay. Though I know it's very hard. I have seen new moms either struggle to make it or succeed at making it, and then I don't see some people for a few years. I get it. But here's why I think it is so important. Okay. New moms don't sleep well. And when you don't sleep well, every other functioning is impaired for the rest of the day, right? So yoga will help you feel, a certain type of yoga, like restorative yoga, will help you feel more energized, more refreshed, will make you feel calmer, because there are so many new emotions, so many hormonal changes, so many different changes in your own body, right? And it's largely unknown territory as a new mom. So it will help you restore yourself. It will help you feel more energized. It will make you connect with your body, which has gone through so much of change. And it brings you into the present moment, and it lets someone else care for you while you keep caring for your baby. So it also takes care of things like lower back pain, shoulder pain, inconsistency in breathing, mood swings, okay, and it also gives you an opportunity to create some me time, and be in an environment, in a class, in a group that is supportive, and be around other moms who've done this before and who can also help out. So I think energy, restoration, just And also as your kid grows up, right, it's good to you become a role model for them. The more you look after yourself, the more your children when they grow up will be encouraged to look after themselves. So I do think postpartum is extremely important, especially if moms suffer from postpartum depression. Yoga is really, 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 really helpful. Okay, I can't emphasize it enough. I can go on and on about this subject, but I'm moving on to my next question. This also came from Instagram. Preeti Balakrishnan says, I don't seem to have moved on from the loss of my father from 2 years ago. Okay, Preeti, firstly, I'm so sorry to hear that. When we go through a life-changing trauma like that, okay, it can be really hard, and each one of us has a different way of grieving, a different way of processing. But I can only tell you here what yoga can do. Okay, specifically, yoga can help, and the way yoga can help is the body gets really impacted. Whenever there is any trauma, every cell has its own memory, so the body holds on to it. Okay, even though we continue to move about our everyday lives and do everything that we usually do, the body is still holding on to it, right? So the first thing you want to do when you're ready is make sure you move your body, and that could be anything. If it's yoga, great. If it's not yoga, something else where you just move your body as much as you can. It could be dancing, it could be kickboxing, it could be running, it could be just playing a song and dancing in your bathroom. It could be just anything. Moving your body is key because we tend to hold all of that trauma. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second one is in yoga practice, if you can get yourself into the hands of a skilled yoga teacher and tell them that this is what you're dealing with, this is what you've been through, and you're looking to yoga to heal, then they should be able to give you chest opening, back bending, emotional release yoga poses, and they really help. Okay, and there is a lot of grounding work and breath work which will also help. Okay, so I'm hoping that is helpful. Give yourself some grace, give yourself some time, and let me know if this helps. Okay, good luck. The next question comes from Alicia. I just have 2 or 3 more questions and then we're going to wrap up for today. So the next question comes from Alicia. Tips to deal with anxiety through yoga. Before that, I'm just going to go back to the previous question a little bit about yoga and grief. There is a blog post on our blog which talks about 5 yoga poses that you can do while moving through grief. Okay, and I'll link that in the in the comments below. Alicia wants to know anxiety through yoga. What can we do? The first thing is, if you feel anxiety, we all feel anxious, right? We just live in that world where we're all anxious all the time. So the first thing for somebody who has anxiety is you should start yoga. Okay, start yoga. The next most important thing is continue to do yoga. You can't stop doing the practice, okay? Because the moment you stop, your anxiety or depression or stress, all of that just comes back. Yoga is a management tool, and there are different tools in that toolkit. Okay, so make sure you roll out your mat or you get to class and make it an everyday practice. So doing yoga regularly will help. Now, if there are any yoga teachers out there, when you have students who are anxious, students who claim they have low grade, mid grade or high grade anxiety, the type of practice they should be doing, apart from a general well-balanced overall practice, the type of practice they need to do is forward folding poses. So standing forward folds, seated forward folds, cooling poses, okay? Inward focus poses. The other thing they can do is supported forehead poses. And this, I know in this segment I'm speaking specifically to yoga teachers who tuned in. Forehead supported poses which will really help bring down anxiety almost instantly, if I may say so, as well as inversions, mild, moderate, and intense inversions, and some restorative yoga, really helping to dial down the pace and calm and restore whoever is wanting to work with anxiety. Okay. There is also a blog post on our blog which has some poses for anxiety. I will link that below. But the only thing I will say with anxiety is get started. Okay, start doing yoga. There are so many things you will discover through the practice. Okay, your breath, your poses, the ability to ground, the ability to not get flustered, emotional balance. There is just so much that you will get with a consistent yoga practice, not something that you do once in a while, not something that you do once or twice in a month. I'm talking 3 to 4 times a week consistently. Okay, and you'll hear me say that a lot. But if you're still listening, last 2 questions. Somebody on Instagram with the name all says unavailable asks, want to make fitness goals for 2020. Any guidance or suggestions will help. Okay. Firstly, don't make goals. Like, don't make fitness goals. I don't think that really works. I have tried it. I don't personally, you might disagree, but I don't think that works. Instead, first, make a mindset shift. Okay. You want to realize that getting fit, getting healthy, working out, it's not really a goal. That's just, it's an idea, it's a wish. You want to first really in your mind decide, why do you want to make this change? Okay, what is at stake if you do not make these changes? So once you change your mindset, okay, and know that it's not something that, it's not an option. To me personally, working out, eating healthy, living mindfully, these things are not options. These things are part of lifestyle. Okay, the problem is we think they are optional. We think that working out is optional. We think that breathing correctly is optional. We think that eating healthy is optional. We think that drinking water is optional. It's not. Okay, it's part of the entire package of living well. And gone are the days where there was only one thing, like work out and you'll be healthy, eat well and you'll be healthy, sleep well and you'll be healthy. That's now, I think, 20 years old. It's today, fitness, living well is a combination of different factors: physical, emotional, spiritual, mental, psychological. I mean, there's so many different parts that come together here. So don't make goals, don't fall into that trap of resolutions and quick fixes and 30 days. Don't do that. I don't think that works. Instead, spend the rest of this year about really exploring why you want to live healthily and what that entails. Set super small goals, super small. If your goal is to work out, okay, break that down into workout in January. Okay, how many times a week will you work out? Maybe just work out twice a week for 20 minutes. Try not to do things like, I will go to the gym at 6 a.m. for 4 days a week. Set smaller goals. Be practical. Look at what all your life can actually hold in this time, and set achievable goals where you feel successful. Why do most people give up on resolutions, right? Because after a point they feel unsuccessful because they've probably set a very lofty goal for themselves. So the thing I'm trying to say is, it's not really about goals. It's about it's about a mindset shift, and make living healthy fun for yourself, and break down whatever goals you are wanting to do into small chunks and experience small wins, and then let that dictate the rest of your year. Okay. Okay, I'm looking at the time. We got to wrap this up. I'm going to answer one more question, and I think there was one that came in the comments here, and then we're done for this week. If you think this segment is helpful, I'm happy to pop back on next week. You just have to let me know in the comments below. Srujana, this came to us on Facebook. Srujana asks us, what made you start your own studio? I have no clue. No, I'm kidding. I didn't want to start a studio. That's the honest truth. I didn't plan to start a studio. What you see today is honestly just an evolution of small classes in the community. As our demand for classes grew, we slowly started adding more and more offerings. And I always have let what we offer be driven by our community. For example, somebody was like, hey, I would love to learn yoga teacher training from you, would you consider offering one? And we developed our own yoga teacher trainings. Somebody said, we should go on a retreat. We developed yoga retreats. Take our latest offering, our YouTube channel. This I know a lot of people asked for, was like, hey, you got to put your videos up online so we can practice at home. And then we started our yoga channel. So it's been largely community driven. We do have an amazing community around us, and this is all fueled by them in many ways. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap up over at this point. I hope this little Ask Me Anything was helpful. I will be back online next week. May need to change the day from Thursday because we're doing a new yoga photo shoot next week. But I will post when I will be live again. I would love to make this a weekly feature where we interact, where we help each other live better, enjoy living healthily, work out a little more, talk about all things yoga, get more people to study and teach yoga, and just support each other as we step into the new year. Okay, thanks for watching, and I will see you soon.